Chris, I feel like garbage.
Ugh. Well, you don't sound great.
No, I know. But I'm powering it through for the listeners, all those listeners out there.
Well, I hope they appreciate it.
Know that I'm here recording so that we can publish an episode on time just for you.
You better get better before our next episode.
I know. The recording like this is not comfortable. Really doing anything like this is not comfortable. I started with like a sore throat, and then it's just turned into like an absolute just congestion fest in my face. And it's just not fun. I've been trying to stay heavily medicated.
Welcome back to Pride and Accomplishment. My name is Chris.
And I'm Jason. This is episode 131. I have some really quick follow-up.
Okay.
I think last episode, was it last episode? Maybe 2 episodes ago? I don't remember. It all blurs together. We talked about Balatro and Balatro-like games.
Yes.
That spurred me to go play Balatro again, and who knew? It's fun.
Yeah. Fun game.
I hadn't touched it in a long time, but I went back and booted it up again, and I think I played like two or 3 rounds or whatever, and what a great game.
Yeah, I played it a bunch not too long ago. I think since the last time you played it, there's been a big update. Like they changed around a bunch of balance stuff and a bunch of like how some of the cards work and some of the probabilities and some of the effects and stuff to make it a little bit, I guess, easier, maybe a little more fair. And I think it was a good change. I think it was a change for the better. I am kind of waiting for them to do another update, like another kind of big update, because I think it's fun when games like this have gameplay changes. Roguelike games are, once you kind of have them figured out, they're more fun when they change. So we'll see when the next one of those is.
I will say I found, I don't know if this is what the balance changes were, but I found the game to be slightly harder. I don't know if that was just that I was getting terrible rolls on like what was coming through the shop and the jokers that I was getting, but I found the game to be harder to execute on what I was trying to do, I guess.
Interesting. Okay. Because I think they did things like they made the banana that like destroys itself joker is much less likely to destroy itself, but the effect is the same, and they like took some of the other things and they like made them like the effects stronger. Like the one that would made cards play twice. I think it makes them play 3 times. Like the first card plays twice, and now it plays 3 times. Oh my gosh.
Okay,
so, like,
well maybe I just suck at the game.
That could be it. I mean, it could be you.
It could be me.
I'll say one thing I did do with Balatro that was kind of fun. Balatro is built on a game engine called Love 2D, which is like a sprite based, some kind of like scripty Lua engine thing, which actually makes Balatro highly moddable. Like people could make mods for Balatro. But the other thing that you can do with it is there's actually a Love 2D editor for the iPad. So you can basically crack open the Balatro files that you get from Steam because they're DRM free. And you can pull out the like bundle of like Love 2D files or whatever, and you can move them onto an iPad and run the Love 2D editor thing. And then you push this little like play button, and it has some tweaks, like a couple of little things you have to comment out or whatever. But then you can basically be playing Balatro on an iPad, which is a super cool experience.
If it's that easy, why didn't he just do it?
Well, the experience is a little bit like there's a couple of things that don't quite work the way you'd want them to. So like if they have a way to, fix some of the stuff so that it works better with the touch controls, I would, that'd be nice because, it's a little different than a keyboard mouse kind of a thing. But it does work. Like it is perfectly functional, but then it also feels a little bit, janky, right? Because you want to have it so like your saves carry over and like stuff like that, which does not happen in this version because it's all saved to some temp file.
You're basically running the editor.
Yeah, you're basically a dev build, running the game.
That's kind of cool though.
It's a neat like feature of the game, and it's something that you can just run the Love 2D thing, which is really cool. But it feels like it's a hack, right? It feels very temporary. Because it also like doesn't quite work right with like portrait landscape flipping, and like there's all sorts of little paper cut things where you can tell that you're not doing something official. So I very much look forward to whenever they come out with an actual mobile app, and I am hoping that will be soon.
I feel like he would resell the game a bunch.
Oh, I would buy it again for sure. I've considered buying Balatro on the Switch so that I can take the Switch with me on an upcoming trip that I have, because the Switch is lighter than my Steam Deck, and there's nothing that I'm like really Steam Deck interested in at the moment. So I could take the Switch as a lighter console, but it doesn't have Balatro on it. So what's the point?
So what's the point? Yeah. No, I mean, like, I think I would buy it again. Maybe not right away, but it would cause me to think about buying it again, you know, on the App Store. Well, anyway, I mean, this whole segment to say, breaking news, Balatro is still fun.
Yep.
My intention for the next segment of this show was to give a quick rundown of the things that are happening in the next 2 months, which Chris and I have repeatedly said over and over again, is a lot. But I started to like write some things down, and then it just got way out of control. Like, it just got, I wrote so many dates down in the next 2 months, but I do want to run through like a couple of them. I'm going to try to go through this really fast, and maybe just make a few comments. Chris, I don't know if you just jump in and interrupt me, like when you want to stop and say something, but
okay.
Off the top, moments after this episode comes out, and by moments, I mean like a day or two, TennoCon 2024 on July 20th. I will not be there. I have decided not to go, but I will be watching. Basically, my entire Saturday, July 20th, is dedicated to TennoCon, and that'll be my whole day. Soon after that, surprisingly, and I don't know if we've talked about it on the show before, we had always intended for the WoW with the War Within expansion pre-patch to come like July 29th, because that's about 4 weeks before the actual expansion. It's actually coming July 23rd, which is a whole week earlier than we had thought.
Yeah, that's going to be nice and early. I will be traveling during that time, so it'll be a little bit tricky to play, but you know, we'll see how it goes. But yes, that's super early, and it will overlap nicely with the Mists of Pandaria remix, and it'll let people start getting started with some stuff. So that's really great that they're doing that early. So glad that they're I don't know. I'm glad that they told us this early, and I'm glad that they're doing it this early.
It's basically now my confirmed resubscription date as well.
Aha, yes.
So that's another thing. This is not one I intended to put on this list, but Chris, do you remember that small game that we used to play called 7 Days to Die?
Oh yeah, the zombie survival crafting thing.
Years and years and years ago when we played it.
I mean, like at least 5 years ago, maybe 6 or 7.
At least. It is now finally coming to 1.0 on July 25th. That's a little note. I thought that was funny just because we have picked it up and put it down years and years ago, never to be considered again. And it is just, now it's releasing. So I don't know if it's any better, but just that was a funny little thing I saw scrolling. Two that I think are interesting. Again, this is just going to show how packed July and August are. August 1st, Star Wars Bounty Hunter, the remake of that game, or remaster, or whatever you want to call it, comes out. I don't have high hopes for it, but I am actually going to pay attention to it. And then August 13th, the game, I think the game you previously talked about, Stormgate, comes out.
Yeah, that was the RTS. That's the like StarCraft-like game that I think is going to be free to play when it comes out, and then have like paid story or paid something. I will probably give this a shot, you know, pick it up and see what's what, but I don't think I'm going to get super into it.
Well, you won't have time, Chris, because August 13th, Stormgate comes out. August 20th, Guild Wars 2 Janthir Wilds expansion comes out. August 26th, and really August 23rd, with the early access, the War Within expansion comes out. August 30th, Star Wars Outlaws comes out. And September 6th, Astro comes out. I mean, just like from the second to last week in August all the way through the first week in September, I have 3 days. What this says to me is I have 3 days to play Guild Wars 2 Janthir Wilds.
No, I think you have like 4 days, because, you know, the WoW stuff, the servers will all crash, and like, you know, you'll have at least one more day.
Okay, you're right. Yeah, I'll be in the login queue for World of Warcraft while playing Guild Wars 2.
The one I wanted to throw out there, I know it's not on your list, and it's not in the next 2 months, but I just feel like it has to be said, and I don't think we mentioned it before, but October 21st, Factorio expansion comes out, Factorio Space Age.
Oh, yeah.
So we need to clear the decks and get all of this stuff out of our system because late October, Factorio is the name of the game.
Yeah, we should block that off. I genuinely, seriously mean this, Chris. I would consider taking a long weekend to play Factorio for like a whole week, like taking a day off of work, like a Friday or a Monday, and just dedicating the whole weekend to Factorio. Doesn't necessarily have to be the day it comes out, but like nothing can go wrong, right? Like there's no live service. There's no, like, it's just a server. Like maybe the performance isn't perfect and like there are a few bugs, but I find that very unlikely for Factorio. And like,
yeah, I mean, they're basically done with the game now. So like, I think it'll be very polished, and you run your own server. So like, there's no infrastructure.
You can't do that with World of Warcraft. You can't take a day off and say, I'm going to play World of Warcraft on August 23rd or August 26th or whatever. Because the servers, like you said, they're so unpredictable. But Factorio, you could plan a weekend around Factorio.
Yeah, that we should definitely take a look at some calendars, and that would be super fun.
Anything else to add to the pile that is July, August, September?
I don't think so. I think that's everything. At least for those months.
It's not everything.
That's everything we care about.
I trimmed a lot. But that, I mean, it's just, it's almost upsetting to me how close together Guild Wars 2 and the World of Warcraft expansion are. That's, I don't know. I just feel like that was a bad decision on Guild Wars 2's part.
Yeah, you would think that they would either, try to be 2 weeks ahead of time or like 2 months later.
Right.
Because although, I mean, Guild Wars though, like they don't have as live of a thing. Like they don't have as much of a weekly grind as WoW does. Like, so maybe there's time for both. No, you don't have to play right away. I don't know. It's still though, like the news cycle, the MMO news cycle, it's going to be Guild Wars 2 for 2 days. Yeah, I guess I'm also a little bit kind of skeptical of how much of an overlap there is between the WoW and the Guild Wars crowd. I mean, I think you're generally correct. But, the people do these expansions to get players to reactivate or to, get new players to play. And a lot of that comes from the hype and the news around an expansion. And World of Warcraft is just going to completely overshadow Guild Wars 2. Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I think everybody knows which way that pendulum's going to swing. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't think there's nothing Guild Wars 2 can do after August 23rd to gain back the news cycle to say, hey, new players, come see what we've got to offer. It's just gone. After August 23rd, it's gone. That focus is not coming back. Oh boy. I'm sure you can all hear it in my voice. I'm trying to keep up as much as possible. I'll tease at the end of today's, or the last topic of today is Chris. He's gonna give us, how I said I was going to talk about Warframe for a long time. He's got something he's going to talk about, and I'm just going to try to listen a little bit. So that's a little teaser for what's coming up. But we do have some more follow up, particularly around the Steam Summer Sale. I had said, I don't want to put this on Chris. I had said that it was the 2-hour rule breaking season. But I would like to give myself some credit. I took a long time to make some decisions on some games on what I wanted to buy. And by the time I made a decision, the sale was over. Wow. Good job. I missed it. And I said, okay, well now I don't feel any pressure to buy a game that's on sale. I just feel pressure on the games that I really wanted to actually play. And the game that I really wanted to actually play was Gunfire Reborn. And what I did is I found it actually on Humble Bundle, which we get our 20% off Humble Choice loyalty discount. Right. 20% off was the same price as the Steam Summer Sale for Gunfire Reborn. So I got it for the same price, and I wasn't pressured to do so. And I played it right away. I didn't break the 2-hour rule on that. Wow. That is very surprising. Like, good job. Because
I would have totally broken that rule. If we like, it just goes back to our spending recap. Like, I know I won't regret that purchase now because I thought about it so hard, and we talked about like the decision-making context around it all and the framework on how, what to think about when you're buying a game. And I'm really happy with that purchase now. And I don't know that I would have been if I bought it during the Steam summer sale. So I guess, just shout out to the 2-hour rule. But no, Gunfire Reborn, we had it on Xbox Game Pass. It is actually one of the victims of Xbox Game Pass taking it down after so many months or a year or whatever. I love that game. What a great game. Forget loved. I love that game. I played it again recently. It's so good. What a good like first-person roguelike shooter.
Yeah, I watched you play a little bit of this. You were streaming it in Discord, and I was like, man, this game looks good. I played it with you when it was on Game Pass, and I was definitely feeling a little bit of FOMO when I was watching you play it. But at the same time, I was doing something else, and I think I was playing some Dota, actually. And I made the conscious decision to not buy it that day, and I am kind of in a wait-and-see mode because, as see previous segment, there's a million other games coming out, and I didn't have the same like urge to play this game, but I would like to play it with you if it was something like, oh yeah, we're just gonna this is the game we're gonna play for a while. But I just don't think that's gonna happen because of the schedule that's coming up here the next 8 weeks.
No, me neither. I will say I played it, bought it, and you and I had actually gotten previously so close to beating it. There's 3 worlds. First world, cool, easy, beat it first time. Second world, kind of relearned the boss a little bit. And then third world, we had seen the third world. We had never gotten to the end of the third world and fought the boss. I did. I finally beat it. I beat it like 2 days after I bought it. And I will say, third boss, really cool. I really liked it. It was a fun fight. So great game. And then it unlocks all, like, there's so much more to this game that I don't have unlocked yet. There's so many more characters. There's more difficulties. There's more modes of game. Like, there's an endless survival wave mode, like almost like a zombies.
Oh, cool.
But it's not like, and that's not roguelike. They're just throwing in so many. There's battle passes. There's season passes. I don't know if they're still, I don't know what they're doing with them now, but like, there's just a lot. There's a lot to do in the game. So I'm really happy with that purchase.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was watching you play it, and I was thinking, like, man, that would be a fun game to play on the Steam Deck. Like, that would be a good, like, because it's a shooter, it's play with a controller. Like, it'd be good. Again, if it wasn't for the timing, I would absolutely kind of jump in with this with you. But I just don't think it makes sense at this moment. But if in whatever a year when all of this other stuff dies down, and you're like, man, I really want to play Gunfire Reborn, I'll be like, okay, cool, I'll buy it and we can play it. But we'll get through the next, year of all the rest of this stuff. For my part on the Steam summer sale, I did buy a couple of things, but my grand total was something on the order of $6. And I got 2 games. So I think that's probably a win. I bought Celeste, which is a game that's pretty old, but it was $2. It was one of those like super great deal $2 things. I picked that up. I think I already had it on the Switch, but again, my Switch and Steam Deck like portability thing is just all messed up right now. I've played it a little bit. It's like a 2D platformer. It's pretty fun. It's like one of those skill-based 2D platformers, kind of like Super Meat Boy. It's like that kind of game. I don't know if I'm going to get through it.
It's not a Metroidvania, right? It's level based.
Yeah, as far as I know. I mean, as far as I can tell, I played like the first level. So yeah, okay. No, it's not Metroidvania in that you don't explore like a world. You have like a world map and you go from spot to spot. And I found myself being like, man, because like the levels are big. Like it's a lot of like rooms. It's like room based. So yeah, it was. I found myself being like, man, is this like going to keep going? Like, how many more of these do I have to do with these rooms in this level and all that? So we'll see. And then
it's got great reviews, so it's got to be good.
Exactly. Well, it's supposed to have a really good story and stuff. So I'm like, I'm interested in that. Like I'm in it. Like I'd like to get through it a little bit, but I haven't done it enough to kind of get into it yet. The other game that I bought on the sale is Luck Be a Landlord, which I got for $4, which is a like slot machine roguelike, I guess, because after our conversation of Balatro-like games, right, and casino roguelikes and such, this one has been recommended to me forever. And I had tried a couple of other games that I felt were in the same genre, like Backpack Hero and whatever the other one was. Those kinds of like inventory management roguelike games, but I didn't like them that much. But this one, Luck Be a Landlord, is actually really fun. The premise is that you are in a new apartment and your landlord has furnished your apartment with a slot machine that you can use to pay your rent, which is just levels. So like you have to get a certain score by certain levels, basically, kind of like Balatro. And so every time that you spin the slot machine or whatever, it gives you a random smattering of like, token or pictures, right? Like a slot machine. And then you get a choice to choose another symbol to add to your slot machine reels or whatever. But the reels are weird. It's not like a regular slot machine. It's like randomized. You have this kind of like bag of, symbols, and the symbols just randomly appear on I think it's 4x5 grid. And then they interact with each other depending on kind of what they do. And it's not like you try to get like all in a row. Like you're not trying to get 777 all in a row. It's like you have different symbols that can interact with each other. So there might be like a cat and then like a thing of milk, and like the cat eats the milk and gives you bonus coins for that. Or, there's different things. It's a very simple and very easy to mod and very like expandable game. So it's got a lot of mods and a lot of options out there. But I still haven't beaten it. I still haven't beaten the first like level of it.
Is there a meta game to it?
Not really. I like each run is kind of independent, so it doesn't seem like there's any sort of like meta thing. You don't like unlock.
You're not earning a currency
symbols
or unlocking anything.
No. It's really more traditional kind of roguelike.
Okay.
As far as I can tell, but every run is unique. Every run is separate, and you start and you can kind of focus on strategies, like you were talking for Balatro. Like you can be like, oh yeah, I got, I'm going to go all in on this kind of, gameplay strategy. And then of course it doesn't give you the random symbols that you need, and then you get mad, but there's a reroll button at least. That's nice. But it's been fun. It's been cool. Super easy, like super just quick little thing. Nice to hop in, hop out kind of a thing. So that's been fun.
I'm surprised to not see. What was that? There was a roguelike game that was on your list. Was it Deep Rock Galactic's roguelike, or no? It was
Deep Rock Galactic's Survivor. I think it was the Vampire Survivors Deep Rock Galactic.
Right.
Thing.
I'm surprised to not see that on your purchase list.
Yeah, I know. I went back and forth on it. That's a good shout out. I went back and forth on it, and one of the reviews, or a couple of the reviews, were like, yeah, this game is good, except that they just like tweaked it such that all of the unlocks are now super, super grindy. And I was like, well, okay, I don't love that. I probably don't hate it either, but it just didn't meet the threshold at the time.
It's still early access, right?
It might be. That's a good point. I don't usually factor that in as much as you do, but
yeah, I know. There's the other obvious, not on either of our lists. We had both, I think, previously discussed Outer Wilds, and neither of us bought it, right? You didn't buy it?
No, I didn't buy it.
I was so...
Thought about it hard.
Close. Yeah, I was so close. But I didn't, and I don't think, that was one of those, like, missed it by the time the sale was over. I was like, oh, sale's over, I guess, whatever. But then I found... when I was looking for Gunfire Reborn on Humble, that Outer Wilds is now on sale on Humble Bundle, and it is less than it was on the Steam sale, because the same 40% discount applies to the price, plus our 20% loyalty discount. So it's only $11.99 for the base game on Humble right now, and that is really tempting.
Yeah, well, and that's specifically because there is a independent game festival sale going on until the 20th of July. So you got to make a decision quick, because by the end of this week, it'll be gone.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a no for me. Just like you said, the schedule's... Now's not a good time to pick up that game, and I don't know how long it takes to beat, but now's not the right time.
That one is one... I mean, I played it a little bit when it was on Game Pass, and it was fun, but it was one where like you did kind of feel like you wanted to sit down and play it for like a week and kind of get through it. You know what I mean? Like you wanted to focus on it.
Yeah.
How long to beat says it takes 17 hours to beat the main story.
Okay. All right. That's quite a while.
Yeah. Do you know anything about the premise of that game?
Very little.
Okay.
Something about space, and I have heard it's a roguelike type thing where you learn things every time you do a run, but the definition of a run is very loose. So that's about like all I know about it. And I've tried very hard not to get into any spoilers.
Okay, gotcha. Well, I guess I won't tell you anything else about it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know too much about it, but it is definitely something where you would want to play it and either have a notebook or play it and just play it temporally close to,
right,
all
so
the
you
runs,
remember.
so you remember what's going on.
Yeah, that's fair. That is consistent with what I've heard. Yeah.
But I am tempted now that it's on sale that I could get it and play it on the Steam Deck. Because that was the other thing, is when I was playing on Xbox, I couldn't really play it on the Steam Deck. I mean, I could stream it, but like I couldn't really play it on the Steam Deck. So,
right. It's $11, $12.
I know.
Okay. And it's offline. You could, I know you have a trip coming up. You could take it on your trip.
I know. I could take it on my trip. It would be great. Don't need to convince me of that.
Okay.
Somehow I'll end up buying it on the Switch. The reason that I have any time to consider playing Outer Wilds right now is because I have recently finished up playing Riven, which is another kind of like atmospheric puzzle game kind of a thing. And I have some thoughts about it.
I watched you play for a little bit. And I have some thoughts as well that it will interject here and there. But I'm interested to hear kind of your, as much as not a spoiler as possible, review and breakdown of it, because of what I saw you play. I got really nervous for the, like, what I would call like semi-open world puzzle genre that Riven and Quern and Mist kind of live within. And I know you and I have kind of talked about it, but like I got really nervous about getting really frustrated with the game. So I'm interested in your full review, because what I saw, like my tiny snippet of what I saw, made me really nervous about it. But I don't think that is an accurate full picture kind of feeling.
Yeah, I think that is probably resulting in you having only seen me play for like 20 minutes or 10 minutes even. These kind of games are difficult to come into the middle of and like watch somebody play unless you've seen them play the whole time, and if they're like explaining things to you and the whole bit. Because in order for one of these games to be really good, it has to be kind of layered, and you have to give the player a sense of like exploration and discovery of their own kind of thing, so that it builds on that sense of pride and accomplishment when they figure something out. So Riven, in case I just want to back up just a second, Riven started out as a game in 1997. So 27 years ago, I guess it was. And it was the sequel to Myst. And that was what it was called. It was called like Riven, the sequel to Myst. It came in this big box with this really dramatic, black, like orb looking thing, like a tree that got turned, anyway, with a bunch of little like windows in it, like little lights coming out of it. It came in a big box with 5 CDs. So this was back in the day, right, when you bought games on CDs and stuff. And
that's almost 6 CDs.
Yeah. It was 5 whole CDs.
Very few people will get that.
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know.
So 5 CDs, and the idea was that you would go between these different islands. It was really clever game design. You would go between these different islands in the game, and every time you switched islands, you had to switch CDs, like physically switch CDs, so that it could buffer in and load in, the more. It was a bunch of static images. It was a bunch of like 320 by 240 resolution, 3D rendered images or something like that. And there are versions of this 1997 Riven. I have it in Steam. Like there are versions that they've made that run on modern machines using some nice little virtualization technology. But they are tough to play in 2024 because they are just so low res, and like they look good. They look really good, but it's static images, it's point and click. So you like, I mean, sort of point and click. Like you have to like click on the side of the screen to make your character like turn, and then it basically just moves the PowerPoint slide to the next image of what you're seeing. And it's with like a little transition, a little wipe transition or whatever. And you click through it that way, and it's still a valid way to play. It still works, but this remake, they've completely remade the game like from the ground up. Is now in Unreal 5, I think. It's definitely Unreal Engine. And it is beautiful. Like, they really went all out. This actually started out as a fan project. There was a fan project where people were making the whole game in Unreal because they just really liked the original game. And they started doing their thing, and they like presented at there's actually a Mist every year. There's like a Mist Con.
Oh my God.
There really is. Yeah. One year it was actually like in my hometown, and I thought about going, but then I decided I wasn't quite that big of a nerd.
You're not nearly nerdy enough for that.
I'm really not. I'm not like as into it because oh my gosh, it is just, they have like sessions on like the lore, and they're like, let's talk about what we think this means. And it's like, I would love to like sit and listen to you people, but like, I would not contribute. It would just be weird for me. Anyway, so they presented though at Mysterium, which is what they call it, this con. They presented their project, and then they went dark for a couple years, I guess. And apparently what happened was Cyan hired a few of them and all their assets and things, and used some of that in this remake because they were doing such a good job.
That's very cool. I love those stories.
It's a neat story. Yeah. Which is really cool. And then I will echo, it is, from what I saw, it's a very beautiful game. It's really well done. And I have never seen the point and click game. But it's amazing to me what came out the other end on the remake, based on essentially what they had from the point and click images. It's very impressive. Yeah, it is really good. And the thing that's really impressive is that I know that the original point and click game probably took, minutes to hours per frame to render. And now my computer is doing it live at 100 frames a second with my 4090 at like 2K resolution. So with ray tracing, like the whole bit. So it's kind of amazing how far we've come, in 25 years or 28 years or whatever, which is really cool. The other thing that they did is they did a VR version of Riven, the remake, which I don't have a VR headset, so I can't like try it. But from what I've heard, it's pretty good. I will say there's a couple of things that they had to give up because of the VR thing, which was kind of a bummer. The original games were all static images, right? Point and click, except for they had full motion video, I guess you could call them cutscenes, right? Where they would like green screen in a video. It was actually like QuickTime MOV like video that they would selectively overlay into the scene of the rendered image, so they could make it feel like it was kind of alive, right? They could make a person, and it was a fixed camera angle because you were in this little slide image thing, whatever. And so they had real actors that they had videoed, kind of like Command and Conquer, if you remember, like the Command and Conquer Red Alert kind of cutscenes and stuff. It was that kind of thing, which looks really good. And then in the remake, they had to replace all of those because it's in VR. You can look around from any angle. They had to replace all those with like characters, like avatars, like 3D rendered characters, and they don't look nearly as good as the video because, of course, they don't. This is not the kind of studio that would do a full mocap, crazy, God of War level, every little pore on the skin kind of a thing. Like that's just not that's not their competency. So I don't blame them for it, but it is a little bit sad that they had to do this because of the desire to do VR. It would have been cooler if they could have like locked your camera view and just said like, look at this thing, and we've got the video, either new video or upscaled from the old video or something. I see. You're saying they had to do that because they can't lock perspective in VR, because that's really trippy. Exactly. And the video was 2D, right? The video was right, obviously from a single perspective, so they just couldn't keep it. Were the characters the same? Were they the same dialogue? Do you know? Like, was it the same script? I don't think it was exactly identically the same script. I think it was pretty close. Like, I think it was almost the same, but not quite identical. There are some videos online of like comparisons, like there's side by sides where they show like especially because like they came out with a trailer, and so when they came out with the trailer, somebody went through the original game and like found all the trailer locations and like did a side by side. That's an option. Maybe we'll put a link of that, and you can take a look if you want. But all in all, it looks really good, and they've done a really good job. There's a couple of other little like, I don't know, interesting things about this remake that they've done compared to the original. So like obviously the people that still play the original that know anything about it know it really, really well. So they know how to like click their way through like all the puzzles, and they know what all the answers are. And of course it was the kind of game that like there was one answer to the puzzles, right? Now in the new game, it's actually randomized. A few of the things are slightly randomized for the puzzles, so that like you can get the idea of what you need to do from the internet, but like it can't tell you exactly what the answer is going to be because it's some kind of math-based thing or whatever that is unique to your playthrough.
I kind of like that.
Yeah, it's nice so that you don't get just like, put 1, 2, 3, 4 into the thing and it's done. It
kind of makes speedruns kind of interesting.
That's true. I mean, then you just have to put the algorithm solving into your speedrun. Like, I don't know. But anyway, so they added a little bit of randomness. They also actually moved a few things, like physically moved some stuff in the world when they were remaking the world in Unreal, which threw some people off the first time that they played it. They're like, oh yeah, we moved this thing because it makes more sense here. In the story, we decided that it's better if it's a little bit, this thing is slightly separated from that thing and, whatever. So they made some kind of world building decisions. And then there was a couple of things, especially like the very first puzzle you have to solve. They had to make an adjustment because of the VR aspect. Again, they had to change something about the way that you solve like the very first puzzly thing that you encounter, because of the way that you solved it in the point and click would be physically difficult to do if you're wearing a VR headset.
I'm watching this side by side, like the thing that you mentioned. We should totally put this in the show notes, but I'm watching this. It's kind of incredible what they did.
It really is. Like it really, really is. Did you find one that's like an actual split screen, or did you find one that's like a?
No, they're showing one and then they're showing the other, but it shows. I mean, it's what you need.
I mean, look at the original though, and the like, whatever, like the level that the original was, right? Like the 3D rendering of the original compared to the.
Yeah, I mean, it was really good for 97.
I mean, it's really good. It's not bad for today. Like other than the fact that you can't free look, like
right.
It's actually pretty good.
And it looks like the movement was actually quite quick. Because
it was
they're just
instant,
loading one image to the next. Yeah, it wasn't. I mean, there's some point and click games, right, where you think of point and click and it's really slow. Like you're but with how much movement and exploration in this game, like it can't be slow. It's like as soon as you click, you got to be like, okay, I'm next spot. Like it can't be a slideshow.
Yeah, there's actually really interesting. Ars Technica did an interview with one of the creators of Myst, which I think Riven was based on the same engine. And they talked about how much of a technical feat it was to create Myst on a Mac in 1994 or 5 or whenever it came out, where they had to like put the music for the game as like a CD audio track on the game disc. And so they could like, because there was a subsystem of the CD player of the CD drive that could play audio, without lag or whatever. But then also they had to read data from it. And so they like, I don't know, delegated the playback of the audio. Anyway, it was a whole thing so that they could get the performance that they needed to be able to kind of click through and work through all of the images and stuff that they needed to do. So it's such a cool, like technical story from that era. But anyway, that's not what we're talking about right now. We're talking about this new game, which is super good.
So you mentioned at the top that you beat it. Is that, I mean...
Yeah, I finished it. Yep, I got the good ending. Like I beat the game. Yes.
Are there multiple endings?
There are a couple of endings. Yeah.
Oh, no kidding! I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. There's a couple of endings. It was one of, Myst also had multiple endings, but yeah, it's kind of cool the way that they did it, and they're not like majorly different. I would say mostly, but it's just kind of cool that there are a couple endings, and there are Steam achievements I think for each of the endings also. So you can like save and go back and like make a different choice or whatever.
Yeah, I did not know that. Now the pressure's on. Jeez.
Well, so when I talked to you, I think when you watched, I was stuck somewhere. Like I was trying to figure something out, and I was trying to, I couldn't figure out what I was supposed to do, and like I didn't know where I was supposed to go, but I knew that there were some things that I needed to kind of like, do something with. And an interesting part of this story was that I gave up after the day that you were watching, and then I came back the next day, and I just walked around the place a little bit more, and I kind of was like, oh, maybe I need to take a different way. Maybe I realized I had at one point taken a fork in the road and never chosen the other fork, basically. And so I went back and I happened to pick that other fork, and that was the answer to my problem, right? I figured it out, and it was super easy, no problem. And I was able to get over that puzzle and get into the next thing, and it was no problem. So these kinds of games, you mentioned being nervous about getting frustrated. One of the major kind of, pieces of advice is like just walk around and just kind of like look around a little bit and try to think like, have I really done all the things I know that I can do in this space at this time? Because in this case, the thing I was doing, it didn't require any special code or anything. It was just like literally click the other direction on this fork in the road. And so that was a miss on my part until I was like, come at it with fresh eyes and be like, wait a minute, I don't think I ever did go that way. So that helped a lot. I also took a ton of notes. Like this is the kind of game that people used to have like a little like notebook, like a journal. I used an iPad with an Apple Pencil and like the Apple Notes app, which I like for this kind of game because you can actually like take a picture of your monitor if you need to. Like the game has built-in screenshots and you can put notes on those screenshots, but like sometimes you're just like, you're writing out symbols or whatever and you want like a picture of the actual thing. And sometimes I used a mix of the in-game screenshots and like the iPad handwriting and a couple of like photos. So that can be a good way to kind of draw connections and stuff like that too. The thing that's really good about the Cyan, like the Myst type games, like Myst games specifically, and good Myst clones, Quern being one of them, is that all of the things that you need to solve the puzzles are there. Like nothing ever feels like a guess and check, really. Like it doesn't feel random if you have sufficiently explored the world and see the patterns. You know what I mean? Like it's not arbitrary.
I always say when I'm doing a game like this or something along the line, like if I'm frustrated and I keep like not being able to figure it out, the phrase that I use so often is, it's not intended to be this hard. It can't be intended to be this hard, right? Yeah. Like I must be missing something. And what you mentioned there, like makes me think that like, if anything was ever a guess or really hard, the answer is you don't have all the information.
Yes, that is exactly correct. There, anything that you encounter where you think you can't do it, you can do it. You just need a different piece of information, and it might not be time to have that information for a long time. Like, it's kind of like when you go to an escape room and like, they put you in the room and they're like, okay, well, here's the door. And this little keypad above the door is how you get out. And like that keypad, that's the way out from the beginning, but you have to go through the whole rest of the escape room and get the code and get the numbers and do whatever. And then you come back and you type in the little 6-digit thing and the thing turns green and everything, you win. This is the same kind of thing. Like there's like very early on, there's a thing that you can look at that's like a thing that needs a code, and that's like you need that code and that you need it, but you can't have it for a really, really long time. So you kind of just have to like file that away as like, oh yeah, that's a thing that I need to do eventually. And then
push it on the stack.
Exactly. Yeah. No, just write it down at the top of your notes and then move on and make more notes. Like, cause that's the other piece is like, there's always something else that you feel like you've discovered or you feel like you're moving forward with. You're like, okay, I just got the thing. Oh, that goes back to that. Oh, this is a sound clue that goes with that thing that I heard somewhere else, or, this is a number clue or a whatever picture clue or something. And you kind of breadcrumb it. Like if they're doing a good job, it'll kind of breadcrumb you to the next thing. And maybe you have to walk around a little bit. Like once you've identified what that next puzzle is, maybe you have to backtrack a little to go back and what was that thing? I got to go back and look at it, whatever, or go back and hear it or whatever. But the good ones are very, whatever, like very, very leading in from puzzle to puzzle. And also I'll say that like, if you think about this from the time period that it was based on. Like if you think of it from the like the history of why and what and the game design and such, there are really no red herrings, like none.
Oh, okay. All right.
Because everything is so economical, right? If you're going to bother to render something, I mean, nowadays it's a little different, but like back then, right? If you were going to bother to make something clickable and render the animation of the handle turning, right? Which they had to do in the little like, QuickTime files or whatever.
Right.
That had to be for some reason. So if you can't figure out why something is clickable, then again, you don't have all the information. Like,
was every puzzle necessary?
I believe so, if I'm thinking
in order
correctly.
to win? Like at some point you finished every puzzle.
I finished everything. Yes, I believe that I did.
Can you get into how the different endings were possible without spoiling anything?
Basically there's a couple of places where you can make some choices.
You make actual choices.
Yeah. No, it's not like you miss the puzzle and so therefore, you'd lose or whatever. But this is more of like a choice is presented to you, and depending on what you do, then you can, kind of win or lose or get one ending or the other. That's the other thing about this game, right? And these kinds of games is that there's no way to die, right? There's no like physical danger to you, even though they're very atmospheric and can feel a little bit creepy. Like there's never a jump scare. There's never a like intentional jump scare. I mean, maybe something will scare you, but like it's not, nothing is out to get you. So there's no like predator that you're running from, or like, you're worried that you're going to take too long and then you're going to lose by
click faster.
Exactly. So there's none of that. Like it's not that kind of game. So that's something and if I ever play one of these games and it isn't like that, I will probably just jump out of my chair, because one of my baseline assumptions in these kinds of games is like, there's nothing I can do that will actually kill me. But if something does, I would be shocked the first time that happened to me. So that's something like in Myst and Riven and Quern and all of them, like you feel fairly safe and that you're not going to lock yourself out of, something or get yourself killed.
Well, that's good, because I don't do horror.
Exactly. No, we don't do scary here on the PNA podcast. So this also still follows that mantra. I will say that for Riven specifically, I did have one instance where I was pretty stuck. I actually had something where I didn't know, like I knew generally what I needed to do, but I did not know how to do it. So I needed some help. And fortunately, they provide a really nice way to do that. They actually have a companion document, like a book. I mean, not really a book, right? It's a PDF. But it could be a book. And they wrote, like the game creators wrote this thing. And they call it the Riven Companion, and it's got like 2 different versions of a walkthrough with like hints and stuff, which is a really clever way to do it. And it costs like $10 extra, which I was like, I like this publisher, I like this game, like I'm going to give them some more money. That's fine. So I bought it. It was actually $9 on sale when I got it in the first week or whatever. It is super cool the way that they decided to run this. So the first half of the book is like a diary, like it's narrative. So it says like, I woke up on a strange island and a person did this thing and this happened to me and da. And so like it explains basically the perspective of one person's playthrough of the game, but like written out with pictures.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. And so it's not like beating you over the head with like, first you do this and then you do that. And you remember that you need to go back and do this. Like it says like, I remembered that I had seen this somewhere before, like, or whatever. Like
it's almost like in those open world games or whatever, where someone's, where the character, and this is sometimes a criticism, but if it's, if it's a secondary or companion app, like it's not as bad. But like, I imagine like, God, I'm thinking of some open world game where the character will say, I bet these spheres go in that hole over there. And I'm just like, oh, that's a little heavy handed.
Well, the nice thing is in this game that your character doesn't speak, and there's nothing like that's that obvious. So this was something that I actively had to go kind of seek out.
Which makes it okay.
Yeah, which makes it more okay. Like, and I didn't want something that was like a straight walkthrough either, because I didn't want to be, I guess, tempted to like just, once I have one, answer, then it's easy to just kind of go for the next one. And then you're not playing the game anymore, right? So I wanted something that was kind of a nudge to this particular thing, and then maybe I could validate, some of my things that once I decided that I knew what I was supposed to do, I could validate that against the answer as a way to play it. But the other half of the book, the back half of this thing, is just straight up a walkthrough, and it's just got kind of like bullet pointed things, and it has escalating levels of hints. So it says like easy hint, medium hint, big hint, and like solution. And so you could, if you have the discipline to not read down the page, you could read one of those at a time and have it give you kind of a little bit of a hint. I kind of wish they would build that into the game itself, so you could like click a button to reveal them one at a time or something, instead of having them on a page.
Yeah, like a spoiler tag.
Yeah, something like that, right? This was a little bit more. This was in your face, but that was the second way that they did this, right? They laid it out with like, this is exactly what you should do. So it was nice that they had a couple different ways to do that. And there's also, there's a Discord, of course, for them. And you can ask questions of the game in the Discord and then put spoiler tags on it, obviously. And then people who have played the game 15 times by this point can give you nudgy hints if they want to. So that's another way to do it. I mean, if you were going to play, I would say if you have questions, you ask me, and I can either look at the book or I can tell you what I know.
Right.
And give you the nudge without giving you the answer, kind of thing. That's probably the best way to play a game like this, is with a friend who's already done it, and then they can real time moderate the level of hint that they give you based on the level of frustration that they sense from you.
Yeah. Jason's gonna punch his computer. I should just tell him the answer.
I'll just tell him the answer to this one. So that's an option as well. So if you ever want to play this game, highly recommend. I
have purchased Quern, which you have also beaten, right?
Yes, I've also beaten Quern. Yep.
So that will be my first one, and I know that's not in technically the same world or the same developer, but it is in the same inspiration, right? It's the same. It's a spiritual successor of
correct.
This.
Yeah,
so
and it's also a pretty good one.
Yeah, and so I will play that first because I already own it. I bought it, so shame on me for buying it early. But whatever, it was on sale and it was cheap, and you highly recommended it. So that'll be the first one I play. If I like that one, I will probably follow that up with Myst and Riven. Yeah,
there's remakes of both. There's actually 2 remakes of Myst and then this remake of Riven. You can take a look between them and see which one you like better. I think actually the older remake of Myst is better than the new one.
Really? Oh, the newer one looks good.
It looks better. It looks more aesthetically correct to me. But I would say, form your own opinion. Watch a YouTube video of a trailer of some sort. I have all of them except for the most recent Myst remake, actually. I have all of the Myst games.
So what's next? Do you play this again for the other endings? Do you what's next for Riven, or I guess puzzle games in general for you? Yeah,
I mean, I might go back and I think I have some saves that are pretty close to the inflection points for the other endings, I think. So I might go back and try to load some of those up and see what I can do with those.
Do you know the other endings? Have you experienced them before or seen them in YouTube or whatever?
I do know what they are because I think I read what they were. So that's another risk of getting the thing. But I know what they are.
Okay.
And I think I know how to get them too. So I think I've got saves that are close to them. And it's pretty cool that they considered these as additional endings. And that's neat. Really gives the player a sense of agency. But I think after this, the next thing for me in this genre is probably either Outer Wilds or Dim Haven Enigmas coming out next year from the Quern people. We talked about the Kickstarter a couple episodes ago, and they are still not quite hitting their goal. They're not looking great on their Kickstarter, which is the first time I think I've ever seen a Kickstarter not look like it was going to succeed. But I guess I don't pay that much attention.
I think I told you to tell me if it didn't succeed. Is it?
I mean, it's not done yet, but I think it's within a couple weeks, and I think they're only a third of the way through their funding goal.
Oh, it's bad then. Oh yeah, wow, yeah, that might not. Well, all those listeners of P&A, we're gonna call to action here. I guess because we can single-handedly fund this. No,
I don't think we can.
No, but. All right, I might I mean, because if it doesn't get funded, you don't get charged, right? That's how
true.
Kickstarter works.
Yeah, if it doesn't,
so I may
meet
choose
its funding,
to back this project then, because I don't want this to not happen.
Right, you may as well, right? And you can do it to get a copy of the game. So like, and you'd get a Steam code at some point.
You do the $1,000 version.
Oh yeah, I mean that's an option if you want.
There's a $2,000 version. Oh
There's
my god, there's a
5,000.
There's a 7,900, and these are pounds.
They are pounds, yeah. So $10,000, where you can help them design a zone. You can help them do level building.
No thanks.
No, I think I backed at like the $24 level.
Yeah, I think that's about what yeah.
I was like, I want this thing to happen, but I don't need a physical copy of it or any of the other kind of things that they're, I don't need like a t-shirt, which I think is one of the other things that they have. Oh no, I did the thing with the beta. I did the one with the beta. So I did the $40 one, 30 pounds.
You get your name in the credits in the very lowest one.
I know. Yeah.
That's what I'm always for.
I think my name's in the credits on like Abduction or Firmament or both. I don't know.
Oh, I forgot about Abduction. I knew there was another one that I was supposed to play.
Oh yeah. Didn't you buy that one?
I'm pretty sure I own Abduction too.
Yeah, that would be another good one. That one is disconnected from the Myst universe, but it is the Myst people. Although I went back and tried to play Abduction while I was in this kind of kick, and I couldn't remember / figure out the first puzzle. Like I couldn't. I mean, not like stuck. I didn't play it for a while, but like it was not obvious to me immediately what the first thing I was supposed to do was.
That's rough.
Yeah. So that one I would probably have to look up or do something, or maybe just spend some more time with. But
okay, well, prepare. Hold on to your butts for July and August.
Yeah.
I hope I feel better.
You better feel better by July and August.
I was going to say I'm going to need to be in good health to do everything that needs to be done in July and August. I'm getting it out of the way now. I just put it on my schedule. Jason gets sick, first week of July or second week of July, so that he can be healthy the rest of the video game release season, I guess.
That's right. This is it. One and done.
I mean, I guess let us know what we missed and what's coming up. Riven. Any other recommendations in that genre? It's an interesting genre, right? It's like open world puzzle. I think The Witness is a lot like this. A little bit. The Witness gets a lot of really good and really bad reviews though. So I mean, whatever. But I personally am gonna try Abduction and Quern as my kind of my intro into this a little bit.
I would start with Quern.
Okay, good. That's all I needed. Thank you. If you'd like to get in contact with us, let us know anything that I asked. I don't know, call to actions, right? That's what I'm supposed to do. That's my job. You can join our Discord by going to discord.pnapodcast.com.
And if you want to find any of our older episodes, read our show notes with these links to these cool YouTube videos about Myst and Riven, you can visit our website at pnapodcast.com. That's P, the letter N, the letter A, podcast.com.
If you're enjoying the show, we would love if you could share an episode where I don't sound sick with someone that might enjoy it as well.
Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll talk to you next time.
I think it's time for more medicine.
Uh-oh.
That's okay.
So this better not be like your turn, then my turn to be sick. Like I cannot be sick for the next episode. I don't want to do this.
No, that would suck.
Yes.
I do have like news though. Like I have something I'd like to share with you.
Oh?
You a while ago, I think, you correct me if I'm wrong, but I think a while ago you purchased a Keychron keyboard.
Yeah, I have 3 Keychron keyboards. Yep.
Okay. I thought that was the case. I was a little. It's been a long time though. Like
yeah,
it's been a long time.
A year or more, maybe 2 years. Yeah.
I have been getting frustrated with my Logitech G815 keyboard. Yes, I have experienced a repeated problem with them that is a known defect in that certain keys, it's a lot, oh God, it reminds me, it's a lot like the MacBook butterfly keyboard problem where if you touch a key, it will repeat it.
Okay.
So I have had a problem where I typed the D key, right? And anytime I would push the D key, it would type it 2 or 3 times.
Oof.
So
that's no good.
It was an old one though, so I said, okay, it's been like 4 years or whatever. I'll just buy a new one. So I bought a new one. Immediately started having a problem on a different key on that keyboard. I looked it up. Known issue with this keyboard. I have 3 of them. I have one in where I'm sitting right now, which is working fine. It's working great. I have one down on my work computer that I was using, and that's the one I replaced, and then got another one. And then the new one also stopped. So I said, you know what? Screw it. I'm getting a different keyboard. I love this G815 keyboard. It's perfect. But I don't know if this is the one, but like low profile keyboards have become more popular now. And when I originally got the G815, it was a little difficult to find low profile keyboards. I like low profile keyboards, thin keys, shorter travel distance. In general, like the whole thing is less than an inch thick, maybe less than a half an inch thick. But still a key, right? Not a laptop keyboard. It's still a keyboard.
Sure.
So Keychron actually makes really good low profile keyboards.
Yes, they do.
I had always been interested in. I require 100% keyboard though. I need the arrow keys. I need, the page up, page down, insert, delete. Like a lot of them are pretty home and end. A lot of them are really important for Excel. Jump to the top, jump to the bottom, skip down a couple pages at a time. Like really important for me in my work. So I need 100% keyboard and I need the keypad. Like all of that is necessary for me. So that narrows it down quite a bit with Keychron.
It does. Yeah.
But I went with the Keychron K5. I don't remember which version. They have a Pro and a Max and a whatever. I don't know which one. It doesn't matter because the differences are minimal. But I went with the Keychron K5, low profile, 100% keyboard. And I love it. It's with blue, super clicky switches.
Ugh, gross.
Yeah, I know you would hate that, but I love it. It's so good. It feels great. It types great. It's really well built. It's honestly cheaper than the Logitech G815. My only criticisms, I wish it had dedicated media keys, which the G815 does. Play, pause, skip, next, and mute. They're on the F-Row, but I use the F-Row a lot. Like I use it for, kind of database like run and again with some of the Excel functions on like F4 to
sure.
Anyway, I use the
pin
F keys
SL, yeah.
So yeah, I'm switching between the function keys and the functional keys. I don't know what to call those. A lot, and that's a little frustrating. So I wish they were like dedicated, volume up, volume down, play, pause, whatever. I wish, and I really, really like. In order to replace my gaming keyboard with a Keychron K5, I am going to have to either figure out some other key combinations because the Logitech G815 has 5 macro keys. I don't need that many, but there are 5. The first one is Discord mute. The second one is Discord deafen. The third one is go live in Discord with the share screen. I use those all the time. So I'm going to have to, I have a Stream Deck that I never use sitting right here.
I mean, that's the answer.
I know, but those are my only 2 criticisms. Other than that, I love the keyboard.
Yeah, so actually I can help you with some of this stuff. So one of the cool things about the Keychron keyboards that I really like is that they have the VIA support, right? They have the customization support, which lets you change the behavior of the keyboard itself, like what the keys do, and like it has the concept of layers, which is how the F keys work. There's an editor program you get. It's called VIA, VIA. And there's actually, I think, a browser version of it now, which is kind of wild. But you connect the keyboard with USB, and then you can customize what the keys do. And they have the concept of layers, where you have layers 0 and 1, which are when you press don't have the function key pressed and then do have the function key pressed, like the physical key on the keyboard, FN, and then there's also layers 2 and 3, which are when you have the Windows and Mac switch to the other one. I don't remember. It might be that the Mac ones are 0, 1 and the Windows ones are 2 and 3 or whatever. But whatever it is, there are 4 layers, and they are a combination of that switch on the back, which is kind of permanent, and then the key, the function key, which is, ephemeral. So you can actually... So what I did is I have a Keychron. Oh gosh, I don't remember which one it is, but it's the one that's like a 96% where it doesn't have a page up and page down, or maybe a 90%. Anyway, it doesn't have a page up and page down proper, but it does have a number pad all baked on the one keyboard, and it does have arrow keys. So what I did was I went in and I use it with my work computer. So I didn't want to like install custom keyboard software on my work computer and like go through a whole bit. So I brought it home. I hooked it up to the VIA software. I mapped it so that when I press function and the up arrow or down arrow, that is page up and page down. So that I can have this little key cord for doing page up and page down, even though I don't physically have keys to do that. Now, I know you can like do numlock and like there's some magic with that.
I would use that for volume up, volume down.
Yeah, so I was actually looking at the K5, and if it has the little PlayStation buttons, the little circle, triangle, square, X buttons above the numpad also, you could customize those to be media controls if you wanted to, without a function key press.
The one I have does not, but I'm not opposed to buying a different one.
Okay.
Because I really like it.
The K5 Pro is an option. There's also one that has a knob. So if you want to do volume, like that would actually be the K17. Oh, but
why didn't I see any of these? These sound amazing.
Well, the K7, the one I was thinking of with the knob doesn't actually have, doesn't come in full 100%. It comes in 96%. So it has a numpad and it has a page up and page down key, but they're not where you think they should be. So they'll mess with your muscle memory. Trust me, I know. But you could look a little bit more at some of them. I have my main keyboard is a Keychron Q1, and I have the Q0 number pad separately. So I actually have keyboard, mouse, number pad. And that the numpad actually has macro buttons on it. It has 5 macro keys on it. It's not low profile though, so I don't know what you do about that. But there are maybe I don't know. I'm just like looking at their website right now, trying to find you something. But using VIA though, you could set up the things, and you could basically set your keyboard up with a like work mode and gaming mode, where if you switch that Windows and Mac switch, I mean, normally what it does is it switches like Windows and like the system key, like Windows with Alt, so that the command key is in the right spot for Mac. But you can actually recustomize the entire keyboard layout. Like you could use this as like a Dvorak QWERTY switch if you wanted to.
Well, that's kind of what I'm thinking here, because I mean, like super specific to this keyboard, like if I didn't change any of the keycaps, like I typically use F1 through F6 for work, right? Mm-hmm. F1 being help, F2 being, I don't know, stuff, F4 kind of being pretty popular in terms of like Excel, F5 being run or execute in a lot of programs. But then F7 through F12 I don't use as often for like work related functions, but those are where the media keys are. So if I could get into this program and say F1 through F6 on layer 0 when I'm not hitting the function key is F1 through F6, and F7 through F12 are their functional keys, volume up, volume down, play, pause, whatever, by default, that would probably solve like 95% of my issues.
Yeah, you can totally do that. It's actually really cool the way that you can, you set that up, no problem.
That would be really cool. I like that a lot. I will say I have already, and this did not require the VIA. I actually used auto hotkey for this, but there is there's a mute button on the Keychron K5 above the home key, which I would normally be scroll lock. Which I don't use scroll lock. No one uses scroll lock.
No.
What it does is I think it does Windows C, which I don't know.
For Cortana.
For Cortana, yes. And I was like, no, I don't want that. That's not what I want. So I actually have auto hotkey capturing Windows C and running a script that finds my Teams windows and hits the Control-Shift-M, which is mute.
Oh, wow.
And then returns me back to my active window. And it runs
cool.
in like, 50 milliseconds or whatever. So like I hit that key, you can see the windows flash because it sets the team windows as like active, runs the keyboard shortcut, and then goes back to my active window. So I can mute essentially no matter what I'm working on or unmute no matter what I'm working on. Because I don't know, I mean, keyboard shortcuts are really cool, but for Teams specifically, it doesn't capture the Control-Shift-M if you're focused on some other program. Whereas Discord, when I hit, I don't know, F13 or whatever my mute button is, it doesn't matter which program I'm running. It always captures it. So, or which program is active and focused. So I had to write this cool little script. But it is a really cool little script. But I'm now really excited to go download the software and like try it out.
Yeah, you can also, so like the print screen button, which is the one next to the mute thing, if you don't use print screen as a key, because I use Windows Shift S for everything anyway, or whatever, Windows Shift, snipping thing. I never take a Alt print screen anymore. If you don't do that, you could also make that key something else. Like you could make it some other, hotkey-ish type thing.
Whatever I wanted, right? Like
whatever you want,
matter.
yeah. And you could map the little, if you're worried about Windows C, if it ever interfaces with anything else, you could also remap what that little microphone button does and turn it into F17 or whatever if you want to.
Right. Oh God, that I think I've said it on the show before, but like your keyboard or Windows or operating systems in general, or like whatever the format is that sends key combinations, F13 through F24 exist in that world. They are standard keys that used to be standard keys on a keyboard.
Maybe not all of them, but yeah, they used to go out to 16 at least.
It used to go up much higher. And so they're built into essentially whatever communication protocol that is. Use them. They are the best hotkeys ever because nothing ever uses them. So like my mute button for Discord is F13, which very obviously is not on the keyboard, but I have mapped one of my Logitech G8 15 macro keys to simply F13, and nothing else in any game anywhere ever uses F13. It is a perfect hotkey.
Yeah, no, I use that for my Go Live in Discord. I think, and I have my Stream Deck send it as F13.
Yeah, that's perfect.
So, I mean, the other answer here is set up your Stream Deck like for things like Discord buttons.
Yeah, I could do that. I have it. It sits there. It doesn't do anything.
Yeah, you should do that. But there is a version of the K5 anyway that does have little buttons above the number pad, four buttons above the number pad that you could use as media keys or macro keys or whatever you want them to be. Not really useful for gaming because they're way the heck over there, but an option if you're just looking for something to do some little macro-y type stuff.
Yeah, and you can switch out all the keycaps. So
if you can find keycaps in that size, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, these are pretty standard low-profile sizes.
Okay, I didn't know if they still had those, like if they sold those as separate whatevers. Because like you can get keycap sets for regular keys that are regular height, no problem.
Right. You have to find, I mean, low-profile keycaps are harder to find, but they do exist, as well as switches.
Yeah, that is the other cool thing is I have a Keychron K2, I think, or K, I don't know. It's one of the low-profile wireless little guys without a number pad, and it has the hot swappable switches, which I really like. As a concept, I've never really needed to do anything with them, but I think I actually bought a whole set of, it came with browns and I brought a whole set of blacks, and I tried to switch them. I actually didn't like the blacks as much, I think, but because I think I wanted something quieter or something, but the browns are super quiet. They're very tactile and quiet. But it is cool when you have a little hot swappable, like pop off the key switch option on a low profile keyboard. They sell matching wrist rests and little like cases for them too, if you ever need to travel with them, which is also great.
I may look into that. What is this? The K17? No, the K15 has got a really weird it's like ergonomic or whatever. Mm-hmm. Oh, I guess it doesn't have a keypad.
It doesn't have a number pad. It's an Alice,
but it does have 5 macro keys.
Yeah.
Like, where's the big? I want the 110% keyboard. I want it more. I want it bigger. I want all the macro keys. I want all the media keys. I want the numpad. I want it all. Like, stop making it smaller. Make it bigger.
Yeah. I don't know if they do that in low profile. That's the problem.
Yeah, probably not. Anyway, I'm on this Keychron journey now. They're great. So far, it's been an excellent keyboard and highly recommend for me, but I know that you've used them for a while. So
yeah, they're really good. Just a good way to get into the like custom-ish keyboard, even if you're not going to customize them, but like they feel fancy and they like are like moddable, right? Like I just told you this whole rant about how you can change the firmware on the keyboard to make it do different keys with the same switches. Like it's so cool that you can do that, and you're never going to really get that from Logitech without running their like, you know, gigabyte of memory Logitech G software. So this is just like on the hardware. So no matter what computer you take it to, it's always going to do what you want it to do.
Yeah, that's nice
cool.
too.
Yeah, it's great. Okay, well, this show brought to you by Keychron.
Yeah, I guess.